Hey everybody, this is Analytical Survival, and this is a continuation of my night vision series. In this video, we'll be concentrating solely on the PVS-14 unit itself. We'll go over the various components, how to properly operate it, and some helpful modifications as well. Now, your first step will undoubtedly be to determine exactly where you're going to buy the PVS-14. Now, there are a lot of second-rate dealers out there, so you're going to have to be careful. And if you're buying used, you're really taking a big gamble because you just don't know the history of whatever it is you're purchasing. I personally was fortunate because a while back, a good friend of mine recommended that I contact Robert Henry at JRH Enterprises regarding night vision devices. I, in turn, recommend that you do the same because he's a solid and vetted source. Robert Henry is not only a long-time experienced prepper, which is huge in itself, but he has always remained pleasantly willing to field any and all questions regarding night vision with his vast and extensive knowledge. Now, what I did personally was to buy the basic unit from Robert Henry, and then I essentially built around that, purchasing most of my other accessories from a variety of vendors who specialize in certain niche markets or certain specialty products. But buying from JRH Enterprises is a rock-solid starting point. So what exactly do you get when you purchase a PVS-14 unit from JRH Enterprises? Well, it comes with all the following: a carrying bag, a head mount, 2 AA batteries, a protective lens cover, an operating manual, and a J-arm to mount the PVS-14 directly to the provided head mount. Now, if you're on a budget, this setup will certainly get you up and running. It really has all you need to start exploring your world at night. So for those budget-conscious individuals, this is a very solid platform. Now, for those others like myself who like to customize their tactical setups, know that there's an entire other world of night vision accessories available, and we'll get into all that later, especially in part 3. But for now, let's delve right into the topic of night vision by asking the question, just how does it all work? Well, it all starts at the objective lens, which collects tiny bits of light from the stars, the moon, and even the infrared spectrum. That light goes into the photocathode right here, then changes that light into electrons. And those electrons are then multiplied right here. Now afterwards, the multitude of electrons are then thrown onto a phosphorus screen, and that phosphorus screen finally recreates an exact image that is greenish in color, and that's the image that we see on the other end. But bear in mind, you're not actually looking through the monocular like you would with, say, regular binoculars. No, you're instead just viewing a recreated image on a phosphorus screen. So there you go. That's how it all works. Let's now move on and examine the various components that make up the PVS-14 itself. First, we have the make and build along with the serial number right here. Here we have the diopter adjustment. This allows one to focus the eyepiece lens for use without glasses. This here is the ocular lens. Here is the rubber eye cup. Now, many folks take this off and prefer to operate without it. I myself just leave it on. And what I call the lanyard anchor is right here. Now, this was my own idea, and I'm not sure if others out there have done it as well. Here's the power switch knob. Obviously, it turns the unit on and off. Here's the battery compartment, self-explanatory, and the manual gain control. Now, this adjusts the image brightness up or down. Here's the objective lens cap, which protects the objective lens itself. And finally, the objective lens focus, which is used to fine-tune the focus to attain the sharpest image possible. Now, in order to operate the PVS-14, you're going to need one AA battery. I personally use Energizer lithium-ion batteries exclusively. And for those not familiar with the PVS-14, here's a demonstration on how to place a battery into the unit itself. Let's talk about modifications. Now, the first and perhaps best modification for the PVS-14 would be to get an IR pass filter, and this is for several reasons. First, it serves as a sacrificial lens that protects the objective lens underneath. Secondly, the filter will block out any high levels of natural light that could potentially harm the intensifier tube. And thirdly, the filter will reduce the blooming effect caused by any bright light sources that are typically found in urban environments. And here's an example here. This here is a side-by-side comparison showing an operator looking directly at the same street light through a PVS-14. The image on the left is without an IR pass filter, and the image on the right is with an IR pass filter. You can readily note how the bloom of the street light is reduced on the right image, and the details of the surrounding vegetation are enhanced on the right image as well. Now, attaching an IR pass filter is simply a matter of screwing it on, as you see here. Now, keep in mind the filter must be 30 millimeters in diameter, which would match the threads found on the objective lens assembly itself. Once it's securely tightened by hand, that's it. Another modification that's useful is to place a lanyard or a tether on the objective lens cap. Now, typically the PVS-14 lens cap comes unattached, and so it can be misplaced or lost easily. So to mitigate that possibility, simply put a lanyard or tether on it. Problem solved. You'll need a few items to accomplish this. First, buy some 1x7 nylon-coated stainless steel leader wire. I found that the right stiffness is around 45-pound test strength. Next, you'll need double barrel sleeves. Now, there's all kinds of sizes, so make sure you get the right size to fit the wire you're using. The ones that work for this particular leader wire is A9 or AM9. Now, you're going to attach the lanyard to the lens cover itself right here, and then to the PVS-14 right at this point. It's usually the same point that is used to attach the battery cap. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, here's a demonstration of the crimping process itself. Now, if you notice, there's also Velcro on the lens cap. This allows the cap to be conveniently fastened to the PVS-14 when it's in use, as you see here. And when you're finished using the PVS-14, you can easily place it back where it belongs. Now, for the Velcro part, simply cut a circular piece of loop Velcro the size of the lens cap, making sure that you also leave a small hole in the center in order to accommodate daylight testing of the unit. Then place a rectangular piece of hook Velcro on the flat surface that lies between the on and off switch and the manual gain control, right here. Another helpful modification can be done by placing a split ring at this very same anchor point, as you see here. This will give you a nifty means of later on attaching your helmet lanyard to your PVS-14, as you see right here. Now, in the event that the PVS-14 accidentally disconnects from your helmet, you're going to want it securely tethered to your person. It has happened now, and it may happen to you, so take proper precautions. I used a heavy-duty split ring, the kind that are usually sold in fishing tackle stores. Yeah, it looks a little bit overkill, I admit, but the bulkiness of it works out nicely because it gives me a solid ring which doesn't wiggle around when I attach the lanyard to it, and I like that. Now, our final modification, and perhaps the most practical one of all, is to add a focus hoplite lens cover. Now, why would you do this? Well, soon after you get your PVS-14, one of the very first things you'll notice is that the unit does not automatically focus like our human eyes do. The PVS-14 instead requires that you refocus the objective lens for far and near distances. And to give you an example of this, let's take a look at our food storage room using night vision. Now, we're starting out focused here at a specific distance. Now, let's move closer to the number 10 cans on the shelf. And as you can see, we're soon out of focus. Now, let's try that with the focus hoplite attached. Now, keep in mind, since the focus hoplite reduces our aperture to this small hole here, we'll need to supplement the image field by using an infrared illuminator. And so I'll be using the Surefire V1 Vampire for extra illumination. As you can see, we start off with a moderately good focus. It's not perfect, but it's moderately good. And we generally maintain that focus no matter how close or far away we get to the number 10 cans. I know it's not entirely perfect, but it works reasonably well. Now, it goes without saying that if you're going to be operating with a PVS-14, it's best to do so on a solid platform, much like the helmet you see here. Not only will that free up your hands, which is a huge advantage, but it will properly protect your unit as well. Likewise, if you're going to be operating in very low light environments, it's best to have a helmet rail system that allows you to easily integrate and attach an IR illuminator. And again, you don't have to hold the illuminator, it's all hands-free. Okay, this concludes part 2 of the night vision series. In part 3, we'll be looking exclusively at night vision accessories, and we'll be going over the helmet, helmet covers, lanyards, mounts and arms, IR beacons, IR illuminators, magnifiers, and ear protection. Okay, this is Analytical Survival saying, stay safe, my brothers and sisters.